Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Desmond. I'm a final year computer science student at University of Malaya. In this video, we are going to try to solve these 6 questions from Lab 3 on the topic flow of control. So in this lab, we are going to use a lot of if-else statement in order to write the program. So now let's get to question 1. In question 1, we are going to write a simple calculator program that reads 2 integers and a character. If the character is a plus, the sum is printed. If it's a negative, the difference is printed. So let's get to it. To read characters, we would need a scanner. Let's import a scanner, and we are going to read 2 integers. Enter 2 integers. And then we are going to ask for the operand. Character operand equals to scanner.next string, or next line, caret 0. So this would read the next line and then return the first character of that line. So let's try to print all of them out. Num1, F, num2, %d, and operand, S, num1, num2, and operand. Right. Alright, this is comma. Okay. Let's try to run this. Two and 3. And we got an error. So the error is here is because when we try to read these 2 integers, it does not read the next line character, which occurs when we press enter over here. So we would need to add on 1 line just to read the next line character. So let's try to run this again. 2 and 3 plus. So now the output is correct. The first number is 2, the second number is 3, and the operand is a plus. And for the operand, we are going to use a switch statement, which takes in the operand. And there are 2 cases. The first one is a plus, and the second one is a minus. Then we should also, as good practice, have a default that runs when the operand is other than plus or minus. Let's just say that the operand is invalid. Okay. So for plus, we are going to just output the num1 plus num2. For minus, we are going to output num1 minus num2. To be more complete, we are going to write num1 plus num2 plus num1 plus num2. Do the same for this. Change all the plus to minus. Okay, let's try to run. Alright, there's a problem here. So I should put this in a bracket. Right, yeah. Okay, let's try to run again. Two and 3, and a plus should output 5. Let's delete this line, try to run again. 2, 3 plus 5, try to run again with the minus. 3, 4 minus is -1. So that's it for question 1. Let's move on to question 2. So for question 2, we are going to translate numbers to words. So we have to display the integer in words given a number. So given that the integer is between 20 to 50, we are going to list down what are the words that we have from between this range. So it can be 20, 30, 40, and 50. And then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. No, actually there's no 10. It's just 1 to 9. Yep. That's it. And we might want to add one more empty string here in case we are displaying the numbers like 20, 30, 40, or 50. So now that we have these two strings, these two lists of strings listed out, we can easily take the number and check the first number. If it's a 2, if the first number is 2, we are going to put in 20, and then we will check the second number. In this case, if it's a 3, then we are going to write 20 space and then put in this 3 and output it to the screen. So before we do that, we are going to write a random object because the question asks us to generate a random integer. Random equals to new random. Remember to import as always, and then we're going to generate a number between. So in order to write this, we are going to take 50 minus 20 plus 1, and then we are going to add 20 to that. So this so this will give us a range between, so 50 minus 20 plus 1 is 31. So that means that this will generate a number between 0 until 30. Okay, so this is equals to like this, right? So this would generate a number between 0 to 30, and then what we want is numbers between 20 to 50. So in order to do transform 0 to 30 to 20 to 50, we are going to add 20 to it. So the smallest number 0 would become 20, and the largest number 30 would become 50. Okay, so let's change back to 50 minus 20 plus 1. We just take the largest number minus the smallest number plus 1 in order to generate the numbers between this range, and we plus 20 at the end. So given that number, we are going to check for the digit 1, which is number divided by 10, and for digit 2, it would be number modulus 10, right? So if we are given a number 23 in this case, this digit 1, 23 divided by 10, it will be 2. So digit 1 will be 2, and if we calculate for digit 2, 23 divided by 10, and then we take the remainder, is 3. So we have used this method to split this 23 into 2 digits, The first one is 2, the second one is 3. So now we just need to check for the digits and output it words to the screen. So let's do for digit 1. If digit 1 equals to 2, let's have an output string, set that to empty, and we're going to add to this output string the word 20, and then we're going to do if else if for digit 1 equals to 3, output string plus equals to 30, else if digit 1 equals to 4, output string plus equals to 40, and finally let's assume that this is digit 1 equals 5. We're going to do output string plus equals 50. Okay, let's put a space. Right, and now we are going to do for digit 2. If digit 2 is equals to 1, we're going to add to output string 1. And then let's do this for digit 2 equals 2. We're going to add 2. And just copy and paste to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Then in the end, we're just going to print out the output string. So let's try to run this to see if it works. Before we do that, we would have to print out this number as well. Generated number is num, and integer in words. Okay, now let's try to run this. So if we generated 26, then the integer in words should be 26. And if we generated 40, 40, so this works well. So that's it for question 2. We're going to move on to question 3. Alright, for question 3, given the sales volume, check the sales commission table and return the commission. Correct it to 2 decimal place. Alright, so for this, we're going to have a sales volume variable. Let's say, let's just use, alright, sales volume. Let's say we have 30, and then we are going to have an if-else statement over here to check for the commission. So let's first set the commission. Let's use a double. Commission equals to, let's just declare it, and let's write the if-else statement, sales volume. If it's less than or equals to 20, then the commission is 1.5% of total sales. So we just have to do this times 1.5 divided by 100. So this would be the commission for the sales that is less than or equals to 20. That's based on the table. We are going to complete the other two statements. If sales volume is less than or equals to 50, then the commission should be sales volume times 1.75 divided by 100. So we are not writing greater than 20. inside this statement, inside this condition, because if the sales volume is less than or equals to 20, this line of code should have been run, and this line of code would not be run because this is an if statement. So only one of the clause, either this line runs or this line runs. So if the first condition is correct already, then we don't have to check again if the first condition is satisfied in this clause. So we can just write sales volume is less than or equals to 50. And then finally, we have sales volume greater than 50. Okay, then the commission should be sales volume times 2 over 100. And then in the end, we're going to output commission commission plus commission. Okay, let's try to run this program. So in this case, for sales volume of 30, the commission is this one, because it's more than 20 and it's less than or equals to 50. So the commission is equals to 30 times 1.75 divided by 100, which is 0.525. Right? If the sales volume is 100, this code should run and it should return a 2. Let's try to run this again. And yes, but before we move on, we have to satisfy the question requirements, which is to correct it to 2 decimal place. So to do this, we just have to write % to f and then change this to a printf statement. So let's try to run. It should be 2.00. Right, so that's it for question 3. We're going to move on to question 4. For question 4, we are going to write a simple dice game, and each player rolls the dice thrice, means 3 times, and the player with the highest score wins the game. Okay, right, so let's just assume we have 2 players, P1 and P2. Then we are going to roll for P1. Let's create a random object. Let's put this above. And P1 plus equals random dot next int 6 plus 1. So this would return a number between 0 to 5. And then in order to return a number from 1 to 6, 0 to 5 to 1 to 6, we're going to just add 1. Because the lowest number, 0, would become 1, and the largest number, 5, would become 6. So we just have to add 1 at the end of this random generated number. We're going to run this for 3 times, because each player would roll thrice. Then we do the same for P2. Roll for P2. Let's just change this to P2. And then we would compare the scores of P1 and P2. Let's print the scores out first. And we're going to use an if statement here. If P1 is larger than P2, if the score of P1 is more than P2, that means P1 wins. Else if P1 is less than P2, then that means P2 wins. At the end, if P1 equals to P2, then no one wins and it's a draw. So let's try to run question 4. Right, so for this, P1 rules, the score for P1 is 11, P2 is 9, so P1 wins. So let's try to run this again. In this case, P2 wins, P2 wins, P1 wins, and so on. So this is for question 4. And let's move on to question 5. Q5. The discriminant is used to determine how many solutions we have for a quadratic equation. It is defined as follow: b squared minus 4ac. If the discriminant is less than 0, print no solution. If the discriminant is 0, print 1 solution. If it's larger than 0, then print 2 solutions. So there are 4 variables here. The first one are a, b, and c. And then there's a discriminant. Let's just use double for all of this. And discriminant. So if a is 1, and b is 2, c is 3, then the discriminant should be b squared, so which means b times b minus 4 times a times c. And let's just output the discriminant to the screen. So in this case, the b squared, let's just print it out. So in this case, the discriminant is minus 8, because b squared is 4 minus 4ac, which is minus 4 times 3 times 1. So it's 4 minus 12, which is minus 8. So in this case, we should print out less than 0. We should print out no solution. So let's try to implement these 3 conditionals inside the if-else statement. So if discriminant is less than 0, we should print no solution. Then else if discriminant is 0, then we should print 1 solution. Else, which means that discriminant is larger than 0, we should print out 2 solutions. Discriminant, it's a spelling error. Okay, so let's try to run. Let's print out no solution. Great. So if b squared is 16, and then so in this case it is I should have 1 solution. Yep. And if b squared is larger, we should have 2 solutions. Okay, so that's the code that's working for this question. Let's move on to the last question, question 6. In this program, we are going to write a program that asks the user to enter the radius of a circle and a coordinate point. And we are going to determine whether the point is inside or outside the circle centered at 0, 0. Okay, so this question, we are going to ask for 2 things. The first is a radius, and next is the coordinate point, x and y. So let's write all the variables out first. Double radius equals to before that, we need a scanner. New scanner system.in. Remember to import that. Scanner.next double for radius and x and y. And for the instruction, we should say enter radius, x and y. Okay. And since the circle is centered at 0, 0, it makes our life easier. We just have to check if x and y, we just have to use these two variables, and then using the Pythagoras theorem, a squared equals to b squared plus c squared, and check if a, alright, you know what, Pythagoras in a circle. Okay, this one. Okay, let's say that we have a point let's say that we have a point in this graph P1. Okay, we have a point at P1, and then we want to check if it is inside the circle or not. So given the x and y of P1, so this P1 has a coordinate x and y, and the x is reflected on here, which is about 3 point something, and the y is reflected on here, which is about 4 point something. Then in order to calculate this f, we just need to do h. Let's say that h is a hypotenuse, and we just need to do math.square x times x plus y times y, right? Because a squared h squared equals to x squared plus y squared, then h is square root of x squared plus y squared. So in this case, we have the h for the point. So if the point is right over here, which is outside of the circle, we should have a h that is spanning across this line. And for this point, the x is over here, maybe 0.9 or negative 9. And then for this point, the y is over here, which is about 6 point something or 7. And using this value and this value, we can calculate the length of this, because this would be a triangle over here. And using this value, the h, we are going to compare it with the radius of the circle. So if the radius is, in this case, it's f, we can see that this line is way longer than f, and we would say that that point over here is outside of the circle. Okay, so since we have the h calculated, we just need to compare it to the radius. So if h is larger than radius, like in this case, if the point is over here, this h is way larger than this f, the radius. And we are going to say that it's outside the circle. Else, if h is smaller than radius, let's print out it's inside the circle. If not, we're going to print out. So this is when h is equals to radius, which is like the point P1 over here. It lies on the line of the circle. Okay, it lies on the line of the circle, on the border of the circle. Okay, so let's try to run this program. Let's say we have a radius 3, and then 4 and 5. 3 and 4. Okay, so with x is 3 and y is 4, then the h should be 5, because 3 squared plus 4 squared is equal to 5 squared, and then that 5 is larger than 3, so it should be outside the circle. Let's enter. Right, so it's outside the circle. Let's try to run this again with the same x and y, and then we are going to change the radius to 5. 5, 3, and 4. So in this case, because 3 squared plus 4 squared is equal to 5 squared, and 5 is equal to 5, it should be on the border of the circle. Right, it lies on the border of the circle. So if you try to do 6, so with a circle of radius 6, and then we're going to do 3 and 4. In this case, the h of this point is 5, and it should be inside the circle. Right, so it's inside the circle. So that's it for question 6. By the way, thanks GeoBra for this image. And that's all for this lab 3. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you at least learned something. And if you have further questions that you want to ask, you can leave them down in the comment section below. If you like this video and think it's helpful, remember to like and subscribe and share it to your friends as well. And in the next video, we are going to try to attempt this lab 2, the Java fundamentals. So thanks so much for watching, and see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.